At the start of the season, bookies were offering shorter odds on Luton to be relegated from the Championship than they were to be promoted. Despite upsetting even longer odds last season, finishing in the playoffs and only being denied their place at the showpiece Wembley final by a late, cruel Jordan Rhodes goal for Huddersfield, this is still a club whose rise through the leagues cannot be credibly understood by anyone but themselves. Luton Town, by all the accepted logic of footballing success, should not be capable of reaching the Premier League. And yet they are now a mere 90 minutes away from doing exactly that. However, such is their frankly astonishing ascent up the footballing pyramid, it's been near impossible for the infrastructure to keep up. And that's an infrastructure that, as things stand, is simply unable to accommodate England's top division. This is why Luton Town can't play in the Premier League. Sort of. After suffering consecutive relegations from the Championship and League One, at the start of the 2008 season, Luton were bottom of League Two before a ball had even been kicked. Charged by the FA over what was dubbed financial irregularities and then later for channeling money through agents via unofficial companies and channels, they were slapped with a staggering deduction of 30 points. They won 56 across the campaign, enough to have seen them comfortably in mid-table, but instead finished rock bottom and dropped out of the Football League entirely. They spent 5 years in the Conference National before finally winning automatic promotion in 2014, 4 years in League Two before a second place finish hauled them out of that. They won League One at the very first time of asking in 2019, and after going from survival to consolidation to playoffs in the Championship, now just find Coventry City standing between them and the simply staggering possibility of Premier League football. If someone had achieved this sort of meteoric rise on Football Manager, you would find it suitably impressive before acknowledging it's not like that ever actually happens though.
I took Woking from the Conference to the Champions League in 6 seasons. Stuff like that doesn't go unnoticed, Neil.
And yet, it is actually happening though, and it's happening to Luton Town. But the problem that this creates is that the radical upward momentum through the football pyramid has not been mirrored by the club's facilities. Kenilworth Road, the club's home since 1905, wouldn't even have been the biggest stadium in the National League this season, let alone the best equipped. And with a capacity of just over 10,000 is already the smallest in the Championship and would be the smallest the Premier League had ever seen. But it's the ground's quirks that really make this a story. The electronic scoreboard that's a pure early 90s throwback, the mesh netting over the director's boxes to stop errant balls from smashing a window, the wedged-in fifth stand that holds just over 700 people, and this. This is legitimately... Wait, no, not that one. No, next one. Next one. Next one. Yep, that's it. Sorry, the rest were memes. This is legitimately one of the main entrances to what could be a Premier League team stadium. A door wedged into a row of terraced houses. While all of this in of itself is no bad thing, and indeed the Premier League would likely be a less sterile environment if stadiums like this were the norm rather than the identikit early noughties new builds thrown up on brownfield sites 2 miles outside of the city they represent, there are still rules. The all-seater stadium is only barely all-seater. A lot of the iconic orange and blue seats are still made of wood, and in some sections are simply just rows of benches with no backs. Then there's the broadcast capabilities. Premier League games are beamed out to global television audiences in their billions and require state-of-the-art camera, sound and other production facilities, all manned by crews that number in the hundreds. The minimum requirements set by the league for broadcasting, including camera positions and the infrastructure to put the footage out live, are currently not met by the stadium. And simply put, if your stadium doesn't meet these requirements, then you're not permitted to host Premier League games there. This leaves the club with a few options. Firstly, and most likely should they achieve promotion, they'll invest some of the lucrative windfall that follows into bringing the stadium up to Premier League standards. Which of course sounds very easy when you put it like that, but according to Luton CEO Gary Sweet, would cost an estimated £10 million and require the near total rebuilding of the bobber stand, the creation of new gantry positions all over the stadium, and the installation of new floodlights, all in the space of 3 months. The league may be willing to offer Luton extra time to do this by scheduling their fixtures to be away from home until the work is completed, but the uncertainty that then brings is seen as a worry. Another option that's apparently popular with the league, but understandably not with the club or its fans, is a ground share. The only viable option, seemingly a 23-mile journey out of the town to borrow Stadium MK from Milton Keynes Dons, or, and brace yourself, sharing with their arch rivals, Watford. Absolutely not was the verdict from Sweet when asked about this possibility, with the response from fans being of a similar thrust, but with slightly more colourful language. Development, it seems, is the only real option. It's quite a heavy investment for football at that level for us and will firmly put us into the Premier League bracket, Sweet has said about it, but just to be able to get the ground ready now, just for maybe 2 or 3 years, is maybe more of a gargantuan task than building a new stadium. And that's the thing, Luton are building a new stadium. One that's sleek, one that's modern, and one that's Premier League compliant, but they haven't started work yet. The club has had planning permission for the 23,000-seater Power Court right in the town centre since 2019, but the lasting ripples of COVID-19 have meant that it has been beset by delays in the last 4 years. Luton are still hopeful of breaking ground on the project either in late 2023 or early 2024, but those are 2 estimates that come way too late for the start of next season. Regardless though, all of this is moot should Coventry City's own dramatic story, one worth a video all its own, be the one that gets the jubilant ending under the Wembley arches. But for Luton Town, facing the prospect of jumping from the meagre scraps of the 5th tier to the most gluttonous top table in world football in less than a decade, this is still a story that fans are going to sing about for years to come. Whatever stand or whatever stadium or whatever league they happen to be in.